What's going on, my reefing fam? March here, Fragbox TV. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. I'm going to do one more video about this epic tank disaster crash that we're experiencing here in the store. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to make a video series out of it. So go back, watch the other two videos when shit hit the fan, when we found out why shit hit the fan, and then now kind of what we're going to do about it. I'll talk a little bit more about the plan moving forward. I think it's kind of important to document. It doesn't happen every day that we crash a system. Actually, here in this store, since we opened, we've never experienced this sort of loss. We've had annoyances, we've had algae outbreaks, we've had mysterious coral deaths and fish deaths and little things, but never a loss on this sort of scale where it's worth doing 3 videos on. It doesn't happen often, I think, to reefers. Hasn't happened to me in a long time. I've definitely crashed systems, not in this sort of tremendous fashion where we lost just about everything. And thank you, Mr. Heater, that exploded. If you haven't seen the other video, this is what I believe ultimately messed it all up. One good thing to note, though, you know what? Let's stay positive. I'm going to be Mr. Positivity here. Most of the fish made it. The wrasses look good. Most of the chromis. We did lose maybe a dozen fish in total. Sadly, the yellow tang that I had in here, I really liked him, didn't make it, and I think that's partly my fault because, you know, I was sort of in this panic emergency recovery mode when shit was going down, and what I did in a panic was take out all the rock from the tank to try and catch all the fish and move them all around, and I think I overreacted there. It wasn't maybe as bad as I thought. So what I did, as you saw in the video, I took that poor little yellow tang and I stuck him here in this 10-gallon. I think it was just too much stress. I threw him back in a day after. I think he was just stressed out. So sadly, I lost him, and I lost this Sailfin Desjardins tang that I really, really liked. Similar scenario. I took him from here and I threw him in our Red Sea Reefer 250. That's kind of the nice thing of having all these different tanks. You know, we kind of have backups. And same thing, he didn't fare well. I think it was just too much stress on the fish between, I don't know, do fish get electrocuted? Because I don't really understand the voltage and the current. I'm reading up on it as we speak, so hopefully I can come back and present to you a little bit more knowledge after reading about it. Maybe there's some electricians out there to can better explain why some stuff lived and some stuff don't. On the topic of positivity and stuff that did live, let me show you. This is a little bit surprising. Most of the hammers, the Euphilia, actually fared not so bad. So these were all kind of the garden that was there in the front of the tank on the peninsula side. So as you can see, with the exception of this poor soul here, and this one was kind of suffering to begin with, the hammers look relatively not so bad. So maybe that video that I did, the first one, is a little bit of clickbait when I said, we lost everything. You know, okay, we lost, I don't know, 80%, which is still a tremendous amount of coral and still not fun. The second thing that fared fairly well is the torch. So this was the torch. These are, well, now we fragged them up. They were colonies and we decided to frag them. But these are all the torches that were over there on the really nice torch garden that we were showing off on the one side of the tank. The frog spawn, interestingly enough, did not survive. As you can see here, they're just about done. That's on its last leg. That's 9 out of 10 dead. Nothing's coming back from that. When you see skeleton on Euphilia, so that's the hammer, the frog spawn, the torches. This one, maybe, but this guy is just, yeah, there's nothing left there. Maybe this hammer and this hammer. So that's kind of interesting that those live. Let's stay on positive notes. Let's talk about good stuff. It's going to keep me happy. These torches from Indo that we got in are just amazing. Simply fire. They're yellowy, mustard, golden. They're going to go up on the site. If I have some time later tonight, I'll photograph these and throw them on the site. And then I think we have some nice dragon soul over here and hellfire something. You know what? When I started in this hobby back in the day, I kind of feel like an old man now. I was 15. I'm 31 now. So 16 something years. There were no names like this. Torches were torches. There were some Zoa names just starting. Most corals were not named. Torch names, I would say, in the last 2 years have become a thing. We never used to call torches by any names. There was green, purple tip, orange, whatever, yellow. There was the Aussie gold tip, but only in the last couple of years, I'm starting to see companies market the names of torches as they became, I guess, more expensive and desirable. People don't want to double up on their names. That's my sidetrack of the day. I'm here to talk to you about a crash reef system, and I'm getting sidetracked with torch names. But on the note of positivity, our acros are going to go up on the site soon as well, too. So the ones that came in from Indo looking really good, I'm going to try shipping some to you across the country. If you live here in Canada, we can send them. They're on the smaller side a little bit. They're not enormous wild colonies, so I do expect them to ship a little bit better. Acro are hard to ship. When they get big, they shit the bag. Like, you should see, I'll just shoot a video when they come in from our suppliers overseas. They have to package them in a crazy amount of water and with carbon in the bag, because what they do is they slime up. They release this stress coat. It's like literally slimy. If you feel it, feels like snot coming off of them. And they release that into the bag, the stress response, and it destroys the water quality, and they end up shitting the bag almost literally and killing themselves in their own water. So a little bit tricky. Like these larger colonies, I wouldn't dare try sending these out. Like, yeah, I wouldn't. Even if there's customers ask us to please send them, even at their own risk, it doesn't end well. It's got to go in a lot of water, super fast. We got to use like WestJet shipping. You got to be waiting at the airport really quick. It's not worth the risk. These zoas. Let me get back on track because I'm good at getting sidetracked. So let's get back on track. I expected the zoas to do a little bit better than they are doing. So that being said, if you're local, you know that I am a zoanthid crackhead. I'm a crack fiend when it comes to zoas. That's where my true reefing site comes out. I lost just about all of them, and I'd like to maybe start recollecting some of those pieces. So if you're local and you have maybe some larger pieces of zoas that you want to offer, sell, hit us up, email us. I'll be happy to buy them or trade them. You can, be part of rebuilding our collection here in the store. That might be cool for you, knowing that you helped us out. And you can come and get a store credit or purchase or cash money, baby, whatever you like. I'm talking about the bread and butter stuff. That's like the utter chaos, the rainbow incinerators, Sunny D's, Mickey D's, Nirvanas, Dragon Eyes, the stuff that grows well. Hit us up if you have those kind of things. Like, this is kind of cool. Like, how come this guy's looking all fine and dandy? Mickey D's right here. He's looking pretty much unharmed. And then the vast majority of the other zoas still struggling to open. Some of them melting under quite a bit of stress. This is kind of interesting too. Cyphastria. Thing looks pretty bomb. Looks nice. I think this is the Berserker. There's a Berserko, Jason Fox Berserker. I get a little bit confused. The names are close and the colors are also close. Over here, Spicy Lemon, not so hot. The thing that hurts me the most out of all the corals I lost, I'm gonna say, I think I said it in the other video, is this Rainbow Dynamite Chalice. Maybe I can find a photo of it and throw it up here in the video. Years and years I was growing out this son of a businessman, and not only the cost, like I think a colony like this, well, the frags alone, the size of a dime, they sell for about $350. It's the time, it's not the money, it's just the time to get it and grow it out again. That's what hurts me, is the time. But you know what, look at this, Cyphastria, let's stay positive. I'm not gonna complain. I don't wanna bitch too much more about what happened. I'm just sharing with you. So you know what, you guys are my therapy. Thank you for listening to my rambling nonsense on a Sunday afternoon. I appreciate it. You guys are my coral therapist by engaging and listening to me shit on myself. Pokeroo looks pretty good. Hey, Pokeroo, not too bad. Jack-o'-lantern, au revoir. C'est la vie. C'est finito. Basta. Ci vediamo. This guy, not so bad either. So, you know what? Not a complete loss. 80 to 90% loss. I can't even show you the acro that we lost because those buggers went like that. They just, they were white. All the colonies that were kind of growing across the top there. Monties that was growing down there. Mystics, Superman, Rainbow, Aquaman, Beach Bum, Reds, Purples, Christmas, Starburst. The list goes on and on. Those were all just bone stark white. If you ever want to know what a dead coral looks like, just like a piece of paper. It's just all the bacteria that gives them that color, that I always pronounce this wrong. Zooanthely, I think it is, Zooanthely, just completely drops off and you're just left with that white calcium structure, the former glory of what the coral was. So moving forward with the tank, I think I like the rock work. That's the question of the day. What do you guys think? A lot of people say it doesn't look like it changed. And I think that's just because my style of scaping is, I'm kind of boring in my scaping. I do this 2-island feature almost, basically all the time. I kind of like this cool cavern here. I like watching the fish swim through it. And I also like flat plains of rock. Please disregard the glass. I got a lot going on this weekend. I should have cleaned the glass before I picked up the camera, but I didn't. So you're gonna have to suffer with a little bit of dirty glass. I'm suffering, you guys are gonna suffer with me, but we'll look through all my crappy glass. What I was saying is flat pieces of rock, because super easy later to go and just glue down stuff that like these verticals are going to be a lot harder, and I'll just leave them without coral. So you don't need coral covering every single part of the rock. But what do you guys think? How does it look? I took out about 25 pounds of rock. This one had these large bigger boulders here of this Marco rock, and I yanked them out, and I think I'm happier with it because it just makes the tank look bigger. A lot of people ask if it's like 100 or 120. It's a little bit of a trickery, I think, on the eye. When you have less rock and you have that open negative space, it just makes the tank, it has that appearance, that visual effect of looking bigger than it is, and it'll give the acros that I'm going to do on the top. I think I'm going to do less acro this time, actually. I'm going to plan this a little bit better. I am sort of impatient, and I think I have self-diagnosed mild ADHD, as you know, by the sidetrack of the days, if it isn't evidence already. So I want it to go back to its former glory right away. I'm going to really try my best to be conscious of my impatience and take my time and plan out where the corals were going to go. So I'm thinking proper gardens this time. I'm a real big fan of gardens because then they can grow together without killing one another. These murderous corals tend to do that once they touch. They're all fighting for space on the reef, and then when they touch, they end up killing each other. If you don't have a reef tank, coral warfare, you should look into that. It's really cool and annoying at the same time. But I'm going to try and plan out better a zoanthid garden, an acan garden. Maybe I'll mix it up. I know that the spots I had them, so I know the acans did well. Sorry, the camera. I know the acans did well here. I know the hammers were doing well here. So I may kind of use that previous knowledge of where stuff was thriving, but just less haphazard, erratic, like nonsense of gluing stuff around. I was really beginning to run into problems, and you know, the tanks eventually they're due for a restart. Sometimes you get to the point where it's just so overgrown with coral. Obviously, I'm not saying I wanted this to happen, but eventually everything comes to an end. You're not going to have your aquarium forever. Life happens, shit happens, clearly, like this, unforeseen things. People move, people get divorced, people get bored, tanks crack, you know, you go bigger. They're not permanent forever fixtures, so maybe just keep that in mind as you're doing it. And yeah, sometimes people will just pull out a whole rock. There's too much coral, it's overgrown, it's time, yank it out, and sometimes they bring it to us. You know, we'll get these large pieces of rock just covered in coral, and I give them some new rock, and then they start again. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to plan it a lot better, and I'm trying to be just grateful for everything that's not gone wrong. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to put in a couple test corals. One interesting thing, the water parameters, bang freaking on. Like, I was expecting everything to be sort of wonky. With all the death, what happens is you have this dying, decaying material, matter in the tank. It gets converted to ammonia. And then I was expecting high levels of ammonia from the dead fish, the dead snails. I don't know if I mentioned in the other video, all the snails died. All the snails died. The copepods, like all the little amphipods and bugs in here, they all floated to the surface in the sump. The brittle stars, all the little nice microfauna, bacteria, organisms, all those little things, toast, finito, all gone. A lot of the fish and the corals. So when you have that dying matter, it goes to ammonia, and then ammonia to nitrate. So I was expecting to see quite a large ammonia spike, followed by some detectable levels of nitrate. Nothing, clear as day. There's no ammonia in this tank. The fish would be dead if it would have spiked. The nitrate's undetectable. So I don't understand what's going on with that. That goes against my my reasoning. I don't know how good I am at reasoning, but that's not what I was expecting. Calcium 450, alkalinity 8.2, magnesium 1500, salt 1.025. The water's running cold because I'm not currently running a heater. Like I said, I'm going to switch to better heaters, to the titanium Phoenix ones when I get my hands on them. So it's running at about 73 degrees right now. I don't think the fish mind too much, but the water is bang on, just a little murky. So I'm running some heavy carbon. I was thinking shut it all down, water change. I don't know if it's worth all that work, all that pain in the ass. I'm going to have to cycle it from ground zero, so I'm kind of undecided. Maybe if you guys have thoughts on why that happened or what I should do, you know, comment below, let me know. I do read through the comments, but I think I'm leaning more towards leaving the water, leaving the system, letting it just kind of let it sit, run the carbon, filter floss, let the water clear up a little bit more, and then start taking, quarantining first, because I quarantine all the corals before they go into the display and farm system associated downstairs. But start to add in small little frags to kind of get this farm going. It's part of the business, part of the brand. I think it's what we call Fragbox cultured coral. In the basement, we farmed a lot of the stuff we sold here in the store. My goal was, I'm back to ground zero. I hit that reset button. My goal was, hopefully one day we won't have to import stuff. We can grow it. I was actually looking at another building down the street from here to set up rows of tanks just to grow. It wouldn't be open to the public for walk-in, but just to grow corals in a large, we're out of space here. This store is small. We're going up towards the ceiling because that's it. I didn't expect it to fill up this much. And I'm starting to think about maybe a larger location when the lease comes to an end, or something like that, like sort of a hybrid system. This place is just across the street. The rent was reasonable, and setting up a farm system, having some staff members there dedicated just to farming out coral, so that we can continue along that path of sustainability. So I think that's the future. That's maybe going to be the only option. If governments and there's legislation, and they decide, okay, you guys can't touch corals from Great Barrier Reef or Indonesia. We've seen it happen in the past. These coral exports open and close, and we're at the whim of those regulations. So it's better. I think it's just better to farm them. It's more ethical. It's more sustainable, and it's where I derive a lot of my pleasure in the hobby. I'm a farmer. I farm at home. I garden. I really enjoy doing that. I love taking a little frag, starting from nothing, and growing out a colony, and being able to frag and share it. That brings me a lot of enjoyment. I think that's about it. Feels like that's about it for today's video. We're going to bring this tank back bigger and better than before, and I guess your benefit from my freaking disaster. I want to swear a lot, actually, so if you know me in person, I have kind of a potty mouth. I'm kind of swear quite a bit, but I tone it back a lot for these videos because I'm still unsure if I'm allowed to swear on YouTube. I don't want to get in trouble or demonetized, so, and keep it PG. I don't know how old you are, where you're watching from, so we'll keep it kind of PG friendly, but the point is, yeah, we're going to make this a lot freaking better, and you guys are going to get to enjoy the content. If you do enjoy it, you know where the subscribe button is, somewhere over down here. Hit that thing, because we're doing a lot of videos, almost one every day. I try to do one every day, usually when the store closes, but that's it. Thank you for listening to my very long-winded 3-part March crashed and messed up the cultured coral system. But I'm excited to get it back up and running. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Fragbox TV.